some other things to think about. So we've been rendering out of the base. We haven't even touched the setup. So there's two ways we can set up a rendering. For right now, I'm going to have you use our render presets. So the render preset dialog is right next to where you see the D, where we submit to the render farm. There's a torus knot, and the torus knot is our rendering setup. The reason why we went this direction is we have the Visualization Studio will take over a file from you. They will set it up with the settings that they want, and maybe you just need to switch out some materials real quick. Well, they're set up for final renders, right? So when you go to click render to switch a material, it takes a half hour to change the material. Where this will allow you to do a quick preview render, change your material, then go back to their old settings and render with a final render prop, okay? Now, if I want to make my rendering of a higher quality, right? So if I right click on this, I see a low preset, and I click render, and it renders pretty quickly, right? But I have some things happening on the object, so the object begins to start looking dirty, right? We don't want it to look dirty. We want it to look clean. And that's more because it's a low quality rendering. It's something you're going to use to test out materials, things like that, lighting. When I do internal reviews, right, with designers or whatever it may be, you're going to use the medium quality because it's going to give you a little bit slower of a render, but a better quality render that you can show off internally. Whenever you want to send anything to a client, you're going to use the exterior high, if it's an exterior rendering. Again, this takes even longer, so this is going to put the full-on gamut of lighting calculation. It's going to smooth out all the lighting for you, materials are going to come out nice, so on and so forth. Or, in your case, Nick would be the one to use an interior high, so it's even more intense because it's got to handle more lighting calculations, and it'll take a little bit longer. Okay? When I'm happy with my rendering, I click the commit button, and then I can submit it to the render farm, or it's part of my rendering itself, right? So all this stuff is going on. We've thought about it for you. If I want to change the resolution, so the resolution is going to be the size of my rendering. Maybe I want to make it longer. If I click the button to render, so you always have to click the button on this to render, it'll stretch that out. If I want to commit that to my render dialog, so I have two sets. The reason why this works well is because it allows you to do preview renders without messing up the settings that exist in the file, right? So you'll see in this rendering, or this viewport, in the camera viewport, if I hit the C button for committing, it's going to change my frame view for me, so then I see what I'm in. All right, so anytime I want to check my rendering and I'm happy with it, then I hit commit, and then I can submit it to the render farm. You see here the safe frame, right? So it's Shift F on the computer. It'll bring up your safe frames on the viewport. And if you want to see this in real time, you can always go to the render setup, and when I'm here, there's an output size. Basically, this render setup is the same as this render setup. However, in this render setup, you have a ton of other things going on. This one, nice and simple. But for this one, if I want to increase or decrease, I can see in real time what this is looking like. Right? So as long as my object scenes are within that frame, I'm okay.